The first resource that I'm going to show you is called a label. To get to that, I click on the activity, I scroll down, and I'm going to pick label. Now a label is different than an assignment, different than a quiz. It doesn't actually put an activity in for you to do. But what it does is it just gives you something if you want to use as a separator. Let's say below a certain point is where I'm going to list all the homework. So I just want my label to say homework. Now, just like any other part of Moodle when you're typing things in, you have some options up here to work with. I'm going to highlight this. And first I'm going to expand this to get to my different options. Here I can choose what size I want it to be. Here I can choose if I want it to be a heading. I think for this one, let's say I'll pick heading 4. If I want to, I can choose what color I want the text to be. Now the thing that you want to remember with this is you want it to be accessible. So if it's red, you might feel like that stands out for people. If somebody's colorblind, it's not going to. So you have to be careful with the colors that you use. But I'm going to leave it here. I think I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So instead of that, let's make it a heading 2. So my label is going to be that. Now, you can also put diagrams in here. You can import pictures, images, different things like that. So your label doesn't have to be words. It can be various things. But for this example, I'm just going to have a word. And then I'm going to save and return. So now I have this label in here. And it doesn't lead to anything, but what it does is it separates. If I put it up into this one, you can see how you put that in there, so then everything below here is homework. So that can be a way that I work this. So a label is something that you can use that can kind of help make your course a little bit easier to follow, to guide your students in those ways, to make the visuals draw them to certain things. It might be, you might put in a label that this is an important activity, make sure you read it, or your final exam is coming due, make sure you study these chapters. Just something that you want the students to see that they don't have to click into like any of these other ones. There's one other thing I want to point out with this. I'm going to put this back up here, and let's say this is my homework heading. To make it visually understandable, I have an option here under Edit where I can move this to the right. So if I move these two over to the right, then they look like they're subheadings under homework. So that makes it a little bit easier too for students to understand. So you have a few different options as you work with labels. Keep that in mind as you're setting up your Moodle shell as a way to draw students' attention where you want it to be, to give them important information. Have a great day.